sucker on his head. Whoa! Not a very big one, John. And are you ready, boys? Are you ready?
It's a jake. It's just a jake. I'm not gonna shoot a jake.
Nice, yes. Oh, that's.
How's that, Lloyd?
That's not bad, John. Oh my.
Hi, welcome to the Great Outdoors. Glad you could join us. I'm John Campbell. In the next half hour, we will journey to some of our favorite places in Iowa. We will chase the ringneck with some expert hunters and their dogs. And we will drop in on a father-son fishing trip.
See how lively he is? That's what you want. You get a leash turning and squirming like that, then you got a chance to get a fish.
We will talk turkey. We will stalk turkey.
Over the ridge right out here in the pasture. There's one. I can see one down there in the bottom, John.
And we will join a gentleman who knows birds inside out.
More emphasis to it. Tweet, 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 tweet.
But first we go after smallmouth bass. The smallie is making quite a comeback here in Iowa. They're very abundant in some of Iowa's Great Lakes. And here in eastern Iowa, you can find them in some of our rivers. One of the best rivers for the bronzeback is the Maquoketa. So grab your paddle and pole, and let's go.
That's a smallie.
Yep, that's a smallmouth. I'll go back and get Grandpa.
With that, Dan Davies, his son Ben, and yours truly headed down the Maquoketa with hopes high but cautious because of cloudy water conditions.
Still dark. Smallmouth, they're sight feeders. They like to see as good as they can at what they're biting on. Try a live crawdad in this little hole here, just to see if we can maybe find a bigger fish, attract him in. Got him. Got him, John. Got him. Let's just hope it isn't a catfish. No, it's a nice smallie.
Turned out to be a nice one. But better things were around the bend and off the rocks.
Oh, God, I got a good one, Johnny. A really good one. Good fish. Oh, man. Better get a picture of this, buddy. Oh, God. About 3.
We had found what we had been looking for. Ideal smallmouth conditions. The fish were lying off the rocks in a shady area. And somewhere out there, Grandpa was eyeing Dan's crawdad crankbait.
Look at there. Oh, golly bee. Okay, Ben, just hold us to the bank. That'd be perfect. Oh, we got a big fish, John. I hope he's hooked. You there, Johnny?
Oh, baby. Huh?
That is a nice fish.
All told, Dan caught 7 smallies. All were released, and I got to work out with the paddle.
Just about every sweep, we're going to get probably a fairly decent fish. It's just conducive to good Iowa stream smallmouth fishing right today.
So you want me to paddle upstream again, is what you're saying?
I think that's what we're looking at.
Now, if you catch that smallmouth bass, enjoy the fight, take a picture, and then release it. Catch and release the only way to go with bass and any fish you don't plan to eat. Speaking of good eating fish, how about walleye? That's what we were after in early May up on Whitefish Lake in Ontario, Canada. But this is not so much a story about landing the lunkers as it is about a father and son spending some great times together. The father in this case is co-football coach DJ Leroy. His son is Zach.
That rod tip up. Oh, you got a nice one, Zach. Don't you?
I just thought it would be fun for him to experience the idea of being able to go up to Canada and spend some time fishing with 3 or 4 days with myself and a couple of his cousins.
Look at the camera now. There you go.
We go out in the bluefin usually, and well, we get slip bobbers down in the water, and They work pretty good because then you know when where your depth is.
All by yourself, partner. Good job. That was worthwhile. Boy, Zachary, he was just ready to spit it out.
What is this now?
It's a griffin.
When does Dad use that?
Playing cards and catching fish.
When else? Football games, right?
Yeah, football games.
Yeah, Papa.
You just enjoy seeing him, his face light up when he catches a fish. Discovering how to fish is hard. There's a lot of things to handle, and you see him handle a line, and he starts out where he can't even drop the line. And by the end of the weekend, he's casting and baiting his own hook and looking for the next challenges. Can I drive the boat, and can I set the bobber, and can I do this and do that?
Boy, I'm glad you kept that rod tip up, Zach, because he's ready to come out, see? Look how he wanted that leech. And what pole did I say you're going to get it on? See this leech? See how lively he is? That's what you want. You get a leash turning and squirming like that, then you got a chance to get a fish.
Yeah.
It was more fun this time. This is the most fun I ever had simply because I got to spend it with my son.
This was the color.
What kind of a fisherman would you say your dad is?
I'd say it was a pretty good one.
I don't think I'll ever do the trip without him. It was just, I think the only way I would enjoy the trip is if he was with me.
Well, that'll be a day those two will always remember, and we certainly enjoyed being a part of it. Now, coming up, we go pheasant hunting with a couple of great dogs, Sadie and Jake. Stay with us. Well, we now leave the lakes and rivers and we head to the fields. You know, when pheasant season opens, usually around early November, a lot of guys hit the fields. That's the most popular time. Later in the season, in December and January, it's a lot colder. There might be snow on the ground. Fewer guys get out. But a late season hunt, if you catch a nice day, can be a lot of fun and very productive, as we see in this piece we shot in northern Lynn County. Birds? Heck, Alfred Hitchcock would have been jealous.
All three of us just walked right by that bird. 2 dogs. Nerves of steel. Good cover over there.
David Bradley, Mike Bergman, Tom Hoffman, and Dutch Ladwig were just hoping to bag a few late season ringnecks. Making it all easier were a couple of dogs we've seen before on Great Outdoors Reports, Sadie and Jake.
Been doing real well this year. He's pointed lots of roosters for me and done a real good job of retrieving. He's not gotten all the birds we knocked down. Mike's dog, Sadie's really a better retriever than Jake, and Sadie saved the day a couple times when we had a bird down we couldn't find, but it's been doing real well. Second year out. Last year was his first year, and he's done a real good job.
Has she improved since we saw her a year ago?
I think she has. She's, you know, she's got a whole career's worth of birds under her belt already. For her second season, she's probably had 100 birds in her mouth, and she's just really matured well, and she's a good hunting companion.
I noticed you were almost feeling guilty because you didn't stay with her a couple times there. You want to reward her with a shot, right?
Well, that's right. You know, the dogs work hard, and you want to keep encouraging those instincts, and a lot of times you just get lazy. You don't want to go with them when they're following one like that, but need to learn that lesson over and over again, because her nose knows where the birds are.
All the dogs can do is find them and flush them. Those two-legged critters have to do the rest.
I couldn't make up my mind what one to shoot at. There are 2 of them coming out that way, and another one, the bigger one, came out this way.
And there were other roosters who avoided the feel of steel. Minutes later, another lucky bird. Watch and listen.
Good boy. Come on. No!
A frustrated Mike Bergman says he was using a shell he had found in his driveway.
I had 2 shells left. One of them is one that I found laying out in the driveway the other day.
You found it where?
It was laying out in the driveway. It was one that must have fallen out of my pocket earlier in the week. And it looked like it's been dinged a little bit, but it looked like it would still work. So I put that one in the chamber, figuring if there was any damage to it, it should go off and probably eject all right, having a virgin shell to come in behind it. Well, look at that, the firing pin.
Oh, you can see it's
dinged the primer, but it didn't go off.
So you would have hit that bird if it...
Oh, that was a dead bird all the way. Jeez, it got right up and hovered. It was trying to come at me, and then it just hovered there going, I got to change direction. Had to let it gain a little altitude. Oh.
Pull the trigger or nothing,
Pulled the trigger, and I just hear the spring. Ding!
But not all the ringnecks live such lucky lives.
Go fast, dead bird, dead bird. Good girl, come on, bring it here, come on, bring it here. Come on, pup. Good girl, good girl, good girl, come on, come on. Come here, good girl. All right, drop, drop. Good girl, good girl.
They get up behind you?
Actually, I was watching the dog work it pretty hard right in front of me, and you know, if what the dog's doing is any indication what that bird's doing, the bird was really tying her up in a knot because she just kept running a tighter and tighter circle and finally flushed it.
All right, good start.
Beautiful rooster and a nice crisp morning.
Way to go, Sadie. Good job, Jake.
Jake! Come on, good boy.
Always fun going out with those gentlemen and their dogs. Whether you get your limit or it's just a long walk, it's hard to beat working behind a pair of great bird dogs. You know, you don't need a dog, nor do you want a dog when you go turkey hunting, and we're going to head out for the turkeys. But before we get there, we'll go quackers for a little while. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Great Outdoors, a great outdoors that is filled with a lot of great natural sounds. And if you can use those sounds, if you can talk to the turkeys, if you can honk with the geese or cluck with the ducks, you enhance your chances for a successful hunt. One of the better duck callers I've been around is Bud Hunter.
That's Bud Hunter, former Iowa State duck calling champ and longtime duck calling judge. Bud has a variety of calls, some of which he made himself. And during the season, he works his way through his calls.
No, I changed. At the beginning of the season, I used this one that didn't take much air at all. And as I get more into duck hunting and my lungs develop, then I go to the higher calls and the calls that take more air.
Of course, anyone can blow a duck call, but it's guys like Hunter who can make sweet mallard music on the wooden mouthpieces.
The far-off call is called the hail call, and that's the one you might use if the ducks are quarter mile, half a mile away, and you're trying to track them to your spread of decoys. After they start coming your way, and then you need to get excited, and we give them what they call a greeting call, which is just a little faster than the hail call, and it tends to pull them to your set of decoys rather than let them drift away to somebody else's. Then as they get close to you, then you go into what the feed call and the contented calls and the lonesome hen call, and it's more a close-in calling that just makes them more easy.
Do you feel sometimes like you're really communicating with those birds? That you're really...
Oh yes, a lot of times. In fact, the time I had you hunting, every time you blow on the duck call, they just lock and just turn. Every call you gave them, they would just work just exactly the way that call asked them to do. Other times you make the calls to them and they go just the opposite direction, and you begin to look and think, well, what am I doing wrong today?
Well, I have been with Bud Hunter on duck hunts down at Lake Odessa, and I have seen him use those calls to bring the birds in. Calling turkeys is also an art form. The idea in the spring is to bring in the male, the gobbler, to the hen. One of the best at doing this is a young lady from Riverside.
That's called the kiki run. It's used usually in the fall by like young jakes and young turkeys who have lost their mother and or their group that they are in, and a lot of the time that brings in birds.
This turkey calling talent is no big deal to 15-year-old Molly Jennings of Riverside, who says it just came kind of naturally after going on hunts with her father.
I taught myself, and the birds helped me out a lot. I have turkeys in my backyard, and I would go out there when I was mad, and I would talk to them and talk back to them and feed them and everything, and I kind of got just calling back to them, and eventually my voice just, it came natural for me, actually. It comes deep in my throat. I don't know, it's like partly my voice, because my voice kind of sounds like my calls even.
By now you may have noticed, unlike most callers, Molly does not use a box call, does not use a slate call, does not use a mouth diaphragm. It's just Molly. Talking turkey in the great outdoors, I'm John Campbell, KCRG TV9 Sports.
Molly is also a very good hunter in her own right. So is Dean Dempster of Delhi, and he knows some great turkey country in the Maquoketa River bottom.
Couldn't get any better than this. My brother's over here with the bow. I think we probably better get set up.
Did you hear what Dean Dempster heard? Yes, gobblers out there in the dark and not too far away. It didn't take long for things to get interesting.
I got one just over the ridge right out here in the pasture. There's one. I can see one down there in the bottom, John. Struck right along the edge of the timber down there.
What a sight. Two toms strutting their stuff. Don't move, don't breathe. Minutes later, the object of their affection.
Surprised this morning those two didn't start fighting, but they must be pretty close to being an even match. They didn't fight over that hen. I use mouth call too, but right now, earlier, they seem to respond to the box call a little better.
You tend to lose track of time during situations like these, but I'd say the dating game probably lasted a good 15 minutes.
Tried to get her to come in, and she came in, then the toms turned and started to follow. When she stopped, they stopped. Not quite close enough.
No, Dean never took a shot. Said he might have if it had been the last day of the season, but it was the first.
She knew where the calling was coming from, and she couldn't see what was doing the calling, so she close as she had to go.
Close but no cigar, but there will be many more mornings to stalk the elusive gobbler in the great outdoors, and the sight is worth the wait.
Well, I've been on many turkey hunts when we have heard the gobblers, but we have never seen them. So that was quite a treat to see those gobblers strutting their stuff. Thanks to Dean Dempster for letting us tag along. Now we're going to change gears. We're going to take a walk in the woods with a man who knows birds and the songs they sing. Stay with us.
Yeah, the red-bellied's more guttural, has that is lower. I don't think we've ever heard it.
Ornithology. By definition, it is the branch of zoology that deals with birds. Ornithology just happens to be the field of expertise of David Lyon at Cornell College, and he's one professor who is not tied to the classroom.
Higher. That's a red-headed.
Red-headed? All right.
Yeah, the red-bellied's more guttural, has that is lower. I don't think we've ever heard it, but it's said to say old Sam Peabody, Peabody, Peabody. Go. Look for a small bird or two up in these trees.
Meet Cornell Professor David Lyons and his Block 9 ornithology class. It was time for some hands-on, or in this case, ears open, eyes alert.
There, hear it? Right there. Now it's back.
That's a good question. What do I expect them to know? Well, they ought to know at least about 20, 25 birds by sight and maybe a dozen by sound.
Yeah, okay. Get your, there. Oh, yeah.
Let's just say the students did a much better job of spotting the birds than a certain cameraman. But here's one that cooperated.
Don't have morphological.
It's molecular evidence. There, hear that high squeal? That's the cowbird. What's the bird singing across the way?
Although Lyons and the students were primarily looking for songbirds, 2 pairs of Canada geese provided the highlights of the trip as they battled over territorial rights.
Sweet. Yeah, there's a real fight, folks, as I was just saying. Now, I thought I told you to stay out of here, and I meant it.
Still don't see it?
There are 2
Yes,
trees back
David
there,
Lyons, who has taught ornithology for 29 years, transforms a walk in the woods into an education of sight and sound.
See how syrupy that is? You might confuse that more frequently with the rose-breasted grosbeak. But there's more emphasis to it. Tweet, 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 tweet.
The Woodland Symphony through the eyes and ears of Professor David Lyon. I'll bet the final in that class is very interesting. Well, that's our show. Hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have enjoyed bringing it to you, and we want to thank all the outdoorsmen who let us tag along. That's always a real treat for us. One final thing, make it a point to make some time to get outside and enjoy what we have here in Iowa, the great outdoors.